So guys, we do have an update regarding the situation with Oklahoma and Texas. I just saw this via Reddit. It says there's a report that now Fox is blocking the Texas and Oklahoma move to the SEC. The original thought was that they could get it done a year early, but it looks like Fox doesn't want to lose that big inventory for a year, and if it's going to happen, they want to be compensated in some way. It says sources told Dodd that Fox would likely have demanded years of significant television inventory trades from ESPN. That sounds like a nightmare. If you're ESPN, I would sit back and I would say, listen, it's not worth the extra year doing all these trades and things like that. But it is certainly understandable if you are Fox and you look at your current deal, losing Texas and Oklahoma. I mean, technically, the second that Texas and Oklahoma go to the SEC, you lose your chance at putting either of those two teams on Big Noon. Now, obviously, Oklahoma has not been good this year. Big Noon didn't even have the rights to the Texas-Oklahoma game. But in general, I think Fox is looking especially at Texas and seeing an absolute cash cow, ratings cow over the next few years with the way their program has been turned around under Quinn Ewers. So it is looking like right now Fox is partially blocking this. Of course, you do have the major exit fee that both Texas and Oklahoma would have to face. It might make sense because we know once they join the SEC, they're going to be making a lot more money than they would with the Big 12. But once the Big 12 loses Texas and Oklahoma, they are going to be worth significantly less. And that's one of the reasons there's going to be less ratings. I mean, just look at that conference minus Texas and Oklahoma in terms of ratings. There's good teams. Oklahoma State's a good team. TCU's a good team. Kansas has been surprising. There's a lot of good teams in that conference, but in terms of the ratings, the marquee teams, the Blue Bloods, losing Texas and Oklahoma is a death blow. So Fox is saying, listen, we're not going to lose Texas and Oklahoma a year early and get nothing in return and just lose the potential inventory and the potential ratings that having the rights to Texas and Oklahoma give us. Because essentially, Texas and Oklahoma leave for the SEC. They lose the rights. Because, and SEC, obviously, ESPN has those rights. So they're telling ESPN, listen, if this is going to happen, you need to give us significant trades. And I think those trades would be in the form of, Big Ten games. I mean, we've seen ESPN get some really big non-conference Big Ten games. The Week 1 Notre Dame-Ohio State game, for example, that had the potential. We were all wondering, would that be on Fox? Turns out they were doing the whole raffle, and ESPN took it, I think, second overall, because Fox always gets the first pick out of the Big Ten teams, and they always take the game, the Ohio State-Michigan game, because that always does get the best ratings out of. I think the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry was number one last year. It's probably going to be number one this year. So that's why Fox always takes that. You can see it says, now there are new reports that the move isn't likely to happen until 2025. One of those is from Dennis Dodd and Chip Patterson, and it carries a very unusual suggestion on why the move won't happen before then, saying that it would require a Fox ESPN inventory trade. Before we get into that, though, let's discuss the disputed part of that report, which is that the Big 12 is finalizing a new scheduling model for 2023 and 2024 that includes both their new additions and Texas and Oklahoma. So this is a giant cluster. So what we're expecting right now, the Big 12 is getting the 4 new teams and Texas and Oklahoma for 2 years. Because originally it was going to be 1 year. Now it's looking like that's going to be at least kind of a mega conference for 2 years with those 2 teams starting in 2023, Cincinnati, BYU, UCF, and Houston. The league is finalizing a future scheduling format that features no divisions, protects long-standing rivalries, and includes Texas and Oklahoma in both 2023 and 2024. Now, obviously, even if Texas and Oklahoma wanted to try and get out a year early, it would be a situation where they would still have the schedules for them, you would think. I mean, they're not going to say, oh, they're trying to leave, so let's not include them in a future schedule. No, even if they were trying it out, they're still going to include them. So the fact that they're on these schedules is not surprising. I wouldn't read too much into this. It's not a situation where it's just they're going to be safe and they're going to include Texas and Oklahoma even if they were trying to leave. But right now it looks like Fox is holding that up because they don't want to lose that big inventory. So we could get 2 years in 2023 and 2024. Of course, the original hope, I'm sure, for both Oklahoma and Texas was to get to the SEC by 2024, which is when the whole UCLA-USC situation is going to be happening at the start of 2024. The Big Ten is going to get those two teams. I'm sure the SEC would like Texas and Oklahoma starting in the year 2024, but Fox is saying it's not happening. You need to give us stuff because we would be losing two premier teams. Of course, they've gotten, big rights to the Big 12 games right now in their TV deal. Conference executives agreed to the temporary 2-year format during meetings earlier this week in Dallas. So this just happened. They have not officially adopted the model and are still finalizing details. So this is what I expect to happen with the SEC, with the Big Ten. It's either going to be some type of pod structure, which I think makes the most sense for the Big Ten if they do expand to 20 teams. And we've heard Kevin Warren saying, listen, we want a West Wing. It's happening. Kevin Warren a few days ago, I read somewhere, was like, listen, it's the evolution. We're going to get to 20 teams probably. It is what it is. So it's either going to be a pod structure. There's going to be no divisions. People say, how are the divisions going to be balanced? I originally thought that it doesn't matter. They're not doing divisions in any of these mega leagues, in my opinion. And so that is what's going on there. And then it's got an update. This is a very confusing part of it, but apparently there was some type of miscommunication. It says CBS posted a significant update later on Friday indicating that there was a miscommunication with Dodge Source and the inventory trades were about future Big 12 deals, not the current deal. So they want a better Big 12 deal rather than the inventory trades. That really doesn't change much of the overall story. The whole premise is still that Fox is holding this up because they don't want to lose two premier programs and the rights to those, to putting those two teams on Big Noon for nothing in 2024 because those teams want to be in the SEC in 2024. The exit fee is very big, but it still might make sense to where the SEC is making so much more money and giving each team in the SEC more money than the Big 12, even paying the exit fee, just getting into the SEC, you're going to make more money. Maybe. If you're not going to make more money, then there's no point in paying the exit fee. Just wait the extra year. And I think that's what's going to happen. There's really no point for ESPN to... I just don't think Fox has much leverage. But again, if you're Fox, obviously you're not going to sit here and allow this to happen. You're going to say either we're keeping the rights to those two teams until they leave in 2024, at the end of 2024, or we're going to need some sort of compensation. We're going to need a sweetheart Big 12 deal. We're going to need, when the new Big 12 deal gets announced, we're going to need some kickers in there that give us rights to significant games. It's one of those two situations, in my opinion. So that is that whole situation. It looks like Fox is holding it up a little bit. They want something. They don't want to just lose Texas and Oklahoma a year early and get nothing in return, which does make complete sense. And originally I had thought that this was a situation where Texas and Oklahoma would be in the SEC in 2024. It makes the most sense, but it is getting murkier and murkier. The reason that I originally thought it was because of the timing with USC and UCLA. But we will see. A few other things. I don't know why we still do stuff like this. Question of the night. If Alabama played the Bears next week, what would the spread be? So I think people are really sick of these questions. Number one, the only time you can do a question like this where it's a college team versus an NFL team is when there's a juggernaut college team, which Alabama, we don't even know if Alabama, a lot of people don't even think Alabama is the best team in college football right now. They barely beat Haynes King last week. Number two, the Chicago Bears are not the worst NFL team. the only time you would ever even think about in my opinion, doing one of these comparisons that we see every year, the college team has to be an absolute juggernaut. The NFL team has to be the 0-16 Browns back in 2017, or just like ultra bad. Like, I understand the idea of comparing an extremely good college team and a really bad NFL team, but this is like bottom of the barrel. I mean, the Bears are not horrifically bad. That, you know, I think they would have been over 500 if they won last night. And Alabama, they should have lost to Texas. They almost lost to A&M. Like, really? It's just it's just horrible. And then how about this? UCF last night. So guys, UCF annihilated Temple last night. UCF, possibly the most underrated team in college football. They're a top 25 team according to many different metrics. I think they have Cincinnati at home. And I was just thinking about this. When is the last time UCF has played on the weekend? It almost always seems like them and also West Virginia are playing Thursday night games. Like, I can't remember UCF playing a Saturday night game. Maybe it's because they're in the American or something like that, but they did debut their new uniforms, and my God, did they thrash Temple. Temple is horrible, but just a little FYI, UCF might be the best team in the American. There's other teams that are getting a lot of hype. You know, Tulane is good this year. Cincinnati gets ranked. But UCF has a really, really elite offense. In that game, it was like 14-13, and then they just annihilated Temple 70-13. So it was 14-13, and then they score like 56, I think that's what it is, unanswered points on Temple, and they could have dropped an 80 burger. We're still waiting for an 80 burger. I don't know if we're going to get it, guys. I don't think so this year. Maybe against an FCS team. It has to be a special occasion. You know, there's been a few teams that have gotten to 77, but it's like it's the next level when you get to 80. We're still waiting for one this year. I know there's been a few where it's like Division II teams or like non-FBS, but I'm waiting for an 80 burger with an FBS versus like an FBS team. That's what I would like to see. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.